All right, so let's get started. If you can please check in using this QR code, that would be great. There will also be another one at the end. I don't have the link for today, but hopefully the QR code works. All right. All right, so let's get going. So today we are, and here's Carmen. Today we are going to be talking specifically about brand identity, marketing, and distribution and sales. We're only going to touch lightly on distribution and sales. We are going to get into that in a later session. This is about reaching the market. And so at this point, we are now in the commit module. We have done the ideating. We have identified potential business model structures. So now how do we communicate that message to the world? And so it's really important that when we think about reaching the market and think about our brand, they are purchasing, they are buying something that is representative of our values and our promises. So a brand isn't just something that is pretty, but it's who we are as a company and what we represent. And those are the things that people are purchasing when they are supporting our business. So keep this in mind when you want to go out and sell and begin building your business. How do I want to reach the market? How do I want to communicate? What is the best way to communicate that message to my market? And what is the best way to spread the word in my community? So as we create a brand, some inputs and considerations. So identifying who your target customers are. We did this earlier with Maggie and her customer discovery questions. I talked a little bit about it in my business model presentation, but identifying who your target customers are and how you're in alignment with them. Think about your brand values. Think about the promises that you want to promise to your customers. Who are you? What do you represent? What are the important values of your business and your brand? Think about your points of contact with these customers. And then think also about the longevity of this relationship and of the brand itself with your customers. So I would love to just ask the group, and feel free to unmute or put it into the chat. But what are some of your favorite brands? Think about the first names that come to mind. What brands do you know, and what makes them your favorite? Welcome, Brian. We're just talking about our favorite brands. So feel free to put whatever your favorite brands are into the chat. I'd love to just explore.
So you're just saying like any brands that we personally utilize? Is that what you're
Yeah.
for?
What brands come to mind? Coffee. This could be cars. This could be clothing. This
Like
could be.
Patagonia. I like Patagonia stuff.
Yeah, okay. So why do you like Patagonia?
Um, I know that in Reno they have a big facility, but they do a lot of with childcare for the people who work there, outdoors, activities and equipment. They tend to try to be, mindful of um, sustainability and reusability of their products. So that's what I try to think of that's what I think of when I see them.
I love that, because it's not even about the product. I mean, it's about the values of the company, and it's who they are in their community. Really, really great example. Yeah, because it's It's important to think about this business that we're building. It's not about the thing that we have that we're selling. It's about this place that we are going to exist and represent in our communities. Um, and so what do we aspire to be? What do we like in brands around us? What do we want to convey to our communities when we've opened our doors and we're selling our product? That's what this is all about today, is brand. Anybody else have any examples, any brands they like? I'm gonna put it into the chat.
Come on, guys. There we go. Nice.
Ethical and moral standards are very important with any business. Absolutely. Winco. Brian, why do you think of Winco?
So I personally like Winco. I'm not a big fan of like Walmart or like the big like corporate entities. So I like shopping at Winco. One, they have really great prices, but also they're employee owned. So I like that idea of, shopping somewhere that's going to directly benefit the employees versus like shopping at a large corporation like Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's right there in their on the side of their building, right?
Sure,
Employee
yeah.
owned. And that's everything. I know so many of us shop at Winco, and I wish we had a Winco that was closer than Reno. I wish we had one out in Burnley or Fallon. Yeah, I think it's a great company, and that's exactly it. It's something that is outside of the product, but it's the employees, it's the community. Yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, and so got this great sentence here, but branding is not just for large corporations. I know we might think of these large corporations when we talk about brand, but it's all of us. And it's really how we are using a brand to win a place in both the customer's hearts and minds. So, who are we? What is important to us? What do we represent? Maybe there's a portion of my profits is going to go towards this charity or this community or something that I respect and I like, and that's a personal thing. You can make that into your business, and others who align with that, they can support your business to support this other effort you're doing. So keep this stuff in mind when you're building a brand. It comes through with your company.
I was going to say, I think, also part of what a lot of the, being a tribal entrepreneurial development program, it's a lot of everyone's taking pride in that it's native based and owned and operated and for the benefit of the people, either for, consultation or product development and bringing your designs to the people and taking pride that it's native based. I think that's another big component of that brand as a group.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So thinking about the different brand components, so we know logos, but it's important to think about brand consistency. So you've got the same type of thing on your emails, your social media, any videos, any publications, anything. And if it isn't just about logos, it's also about the feel of your business, right? Like I love these examples here because this Bella template here, this is very out in the mountains. It's very nature. It's also calm and blue, and it's simple, right? And I'm looking at that. But versus this social media one on the right, it's very fast paced and very colorful. And I'm in the city, and what is that vibe that you want to give off with your business? What is that feel? And so think about that. Do you want something that's cool, that's calm, that's reflective? Do you want something that's a bit more fast paced and exciting? Think about the colors that you use. One of so with fast food, for example, there's this concept of hungry colors. I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, but have you noticed that almost all fast food restaurants are red and yellow? Like almost all of them. Like if you go and you think of like In-N-Out, McDonald's, Del Taco, like they've got red and yellow in them. And so it's because I've heard before that they're colors that make you hungry, but I don't think that's real. I think that what it is is that they're so clashy that it is shocking to look at. And so it calls your attention to it. And so all of these restaurants have used these same hungry colors, this red and this yellow, to draw your attention to it. And you didn't even, you know, out of the periphery, like, is that an In-N-Out? Is that a Del Taco? I don't know, but I know it's fast food. And so just think about the colors, because subconsciously we're paying attention to those things. What is drawing my attention? What am I looking at when I'm driving by?
I never thought of that, but when you mentioned those in my mind, just saw their signs as well, and it's like, whoa, she's right. And even, you know, like little tunes like da 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 da. Like yeah, it's how our brain works and sees things and connects them to something specific. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't unsee it once you realize it's all red and yellow. I mean, I think there's a couple that use purple and they're a little different, but red and yellow is on so much. And yeah, I know, great point, adding in musical jingles and things that help them stick in your mind. And that's an important brand component. So thinking about all the different ways that you touch your customers, how are they going to hear about you? You know, so keep in mind how you exist in the community. What is your vision? What is your promise? What is your commitment, right? That people can see. So what is this thing that you've built? What is it emanating out into the community? But then also, how are you touching people? How are they hearing about you? Do you have a catchy jingle? Do you have something that they've heard on the radio? Do you have some red and yellow sign, right? Like, do you have different things that catch your attention? And what are all the different ways that you will come into the consciousness of your customers? How will you reach them? So that's really important to think about today. Really, it's not just about logo, but it's all about who we are. So I'd love for us to do this quick exercise. I'd love to consider some of these elements for your business. Think about some of the names of your competitors. You should make sure that you're distinguishing your business from others. Think about the message that you're communicating. Make sure that that's consistent with your business image, right? Like, so your image has got these calm mountains, and you know, maybe you're a consulting service, and I'm here to help you along this really complicated path, right? Something like that. So what is this feel? What am I trying to communicate? What is that image? Use of the name. So primarily written or spoken. A lot of people have just logos. I mean, do you want to have a big brand name on it? How do you want people to associate your company? What is the name on that? You're gonna have a big long name, or you're gonna have a shortened name. Think about your domain name availability. I know a lot of people that once they've decided they want to start a business, the very first thing they do is they go buy the domain name. I don't think that's a bad thing. Domains are pretty cheap these days, and you can go and purchase one, go and see if it's available. You know, as you're forming your business, go and look at domains and make sure that that's available. A business description. So Holiday Inn versus Amazon, you know, is it going to reflect what you're doing in your business, or are you going to have just like Amazon? Now we know Amazon is like A to Z shopping, right? But before, I mean, it's the Amazon rainforest. It's just kind of, what does that have to do with online shopping? So, you know, you could have some cool creative name. Or you could have something that's very descriptive that is saying exactly what your business does. And then think about your registration and trademarks. So a lot of people don't know this, but you can file your own trademarks and copyright. You can do that on the USPTO website. You can pay someone to help you. But to file your own copyright is like $60. You just have to upload all the documents. So it's not that difficult to do your own copyright, but it's something that you should consider if you are trying to protect your IP. So I want to give you guys a few minutes to capture all of this, and let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what you think about these elements. Any concerns, I guess I should ask, when you want to start your business? Or has anybody actually done any of this already for any of their ventures?
So when you say competitors, like somebody who might have similar type of product, or like branding or something? Is that kind of like what that would be?
Yeah, I mean, think about direct competitors who would be selling the same type of product, but you can also think about people who are competing for the same types of customers that are
Oh.
in the same space. Um, so how are they communicating with their people? Is it effective? Is it not effective?
Mhm.
Who exists in this space right now? And we talk about this position that they have in the community, and their brand and the way that they're touching people, and the way that they're solving a problem. And then you want to think about yourself alongside them. I'm also going to be solving something. I maybe am going after the same types of customers. How do we compare? Are you doing a great job? Am I directly competing with you? Can we complement instead of compete? What does that look like?
I think that's a great point because also, a lot of people might be selling things, and as the powwow season picks up, there's a lot of vendors that are, might be side by side with each other. Is there different venues to think about how to do further outreach beyond the normal activity of, say, vendoring at a powwow or, like you said,
Mm,
online domain availability? Um,
yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, and even distinguishing your message. I mean, going to one of those events is really great because you can see all of your competitors in one place. And you can get a feel for the way that they are communicating. What is their brand? What is their messaging? What colors are they using? How do they set up their table? And how could you compete with that? How do you want to make it different? Do you want to change your colors? Do you want to change your layout? Do you want to just communicate a totally different type of value? Looking at your competitors to think about how you yourself can be positioned is very valuable.
mhm.
We'll move on to the next thing. You guys will have a copy of these slides, and this information is in Canvas. It goes into much more detail in Canvas, so you guys can dig into it. So this is a great quote by Seth Godin, who's a great author, by the way. If you haven't checked him out, he's written some fantastic books. He says that a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. So we hear a lot about brand loyalty, and that's what this is all about. This is the story, and maybe it's trust. You know, I'm a loyal customer of this company called Reno Running Company, right? And it's because they really do a lot of great things in the community. It's a running store, and they host group runs. They do things for veterans, and you can go in there and you can run on their treadmill and get a gait analysis, and they'll prescribe you some shoes, and they've got a great return policy. And they do all these things that as a whole make me excited about giving them my business and going to their store. And now, as that story of buying shoes, when I think about shoes that I want to buy, I immediately think of Reno Running Company. And I think I'm going to go in there. I want to talk to them. I want to see what they have to say. And I also want to support the community. And maybe I'll go on the Saturday morning run that they host in the community. So I mean, thinking about it all together as an entire story and as a whole relationship, and who are people running that store, and I'm going to go in there, I'm going to see them, they're going to know me, I'm going to know them, thinking about that experience. What is that experience that you want to give to people when they walk in your doors, or when they visit you online?
Mm. I like that a lot. It sounds like if maybe your thoughts. So somebody has like a very specialty product or business model, like would it be like also educating the people about how to do that as well?
Yeah,
To bring that
absolutely.
loyalty, be like, oh, they see the opportunity to educate and lift up people, by either say chainsaw S212 or consultations. I really like that. It's like going into the community, not just advertising a product, but kind of yourself and your overall why impact, like community. Let's pull them together. I don't know.
Right. It's a community impact. And I think that a lot of people think that you have to be a nonprofit to do this sort of work, and you don't. I mean, you can use your business as a vehicle for change to create the things that you want to create around you. And I think that's the most exciting part of starting a business. And so if there is a charity or there is an event or there is some education that you believe is very important for the community that you want to deliver and you want to make sure it's there, you can use your business as a vehicle to support that. And that's part of your values and your mission and everything. So coming back to like the Reno Running Company, I had no idea that people could be prescribed shoes. And so before I had figured that out, I had all sorts of knee pain and hip pain. And I go and I find out I'd been wearing the wrong shoes for so long. And they educate and they say, well, these are the types of shoes. This is what you want. This is how you're walking. This is what's supportive. And I think that they're willing to educate and show. And like, if I never bought a product from them, they'd still be so giving. I could still come to their free runs. I could still learn all about what is causing my knee and hip pain, right? For example. And that's, I think, what I like about them so much is they're not aggressive, but they're there to help and they're there to support. And so it makes me want to buy something from them. It makes me want to support their business, because I love what they're doing in our community. So thinking about what is important to you and what is important to your business, and how you want to communicate that. People who are purchasing from you and they have that brand loyalty, this is how they cultivate that brand loyalty, is that story, that experience, who you are as a business, what's your business's personality, thinking about those sorts of things is very, very important. So something that is really key to develop is your positioning statement when you are developing your whole marketing strategy. We do have a really cool activity in Canvas that will help you develop your positioning strategy. But this is just to get you started. So your positioning statement should identify what your product or service is. It should tell us why it's special. You should know who your target market is, your competitive landscape, your competitive advantage, and your brand promise. So wrap this all together with your personality of your business. So again, this is in Canvas, but before we move on, any thoughts, any feelings, any questions about the positioning statement? That's the best way to think about a positioning statement is how is this company going to be positioned in the market? Who is it going to touch? How is it going to be successful? How is it communicated? Who is walking in my door? Who is a regular that's coming in all the time? Right? That's what we're building here. A positioning statement is just like the formal statement that says that says who I am, where I stand, what I deliver.
So
And
this might
feel free
tie,
to,
oh, sorry.
oh,
So
go
this
ahead.
might tie into some of like the values you mentioned before, right? It's like kind of, I think it also kind of sparks the ideas of like, what are the other things that I might need to get like permits and stuff like that, but that's probably down the road. This is probably more just like verbalizing it in a manner that you're able to see it yourselves and like really kind of mold that into something that really kind of makes you stand out, but at the same time captures your own, your own personality and putting it into a statement so that people can
Yep.
really identify it to you specifically. Do you I almost want to call on people. Just to get people verbalizing it, because people sometimes it's like we have these great ideas, but how do we need to get it out and verbalize it and mold it and hear ourselves speak on it, because it allows us to be like, oh wait, maybe that's not what I was going for, but let me think about it differently or reword it. So I just want to encourage people. It's a safe space and the perfect time to really verbalize and hear yourself speak on your own product and your own company.
Yeah, thank you, Thurman. I mean, we talked about this going from idea to business, and a big part of it is just taking this concept out of your head and putting it down on paper. No one else has to see it, and it doesn't have to be done. incomplete when it goes onto the paper. It's something that you can mold and workshop and, and that's how you make something that's really good, is it's this clay that you mold and you shape it and you scrap pieces and you add more on and, you create it. But I find it's very, very difficult to do that if you don't verbalize, if you don't use tools like the positioning statement to write it down. And it's okay if we don't want to share in class, but there is the positioning statement activity on Canvas that I encourage everyone to go in and fill out and just work on it privately, just to figure out what that looks like. And that's okay too. But it's so important to do these types of exercises and activities to begin to build up what we are creating as a business as a whole.
How does this kind of separate from the when a couple of sessions ago it was not a positioning, it was a mission statement, or what was there's another statement that you had them working on. How did they kind of differ?
Yeah, so the personal vision statement is really about a little bit more personal, and it's a little bit more about what I want to create in the world that didn't exist before me. Generally, I find that it's a little bit more of my North Star. What is driving me? What am I going towards? What is the feel of the company? This is a little bit more detailed because we're talking about how it exists in the market. We're talking about what the actual product is. And again, it's okay if it changes. It's okay if it's different tomorrow. It's okay if it's guess. But the goal here is that we are, instead of it being our North Star, so this North Star is really just like our driving vision, where we want to go, what sort of lifestyle we want to lead. This positioning statement is saying, this is where it exists today. If I had to pick a time and a place and a color and what it is, this is it. This is where it lives in the market. Great question. So here's a great example of a positioning statement. So the company is called Zipcar. They do instant rental car bookings near you. And so this is it's actually pretty similar to the ad lib that we did for the business model canvas presentation. And if you missed that, there's a great recording of it on our playlist. But just answer simply, right? So who is this for? Who's my target market? And so for Zipcar, urban dwelling, educated, techno-savvy customers. Who has the problem or the need that you're solving? Because remember, we always have to come back. What is that problem we're solving? Not just the product I'm making, but why did I decide to do this? What need am I addressing? So think about who. And so they worry about the environment that future generations will inherit. So these guys are like an eco-friendly car service. Our product or solution, so they're doing a car sharing service. So it's car sharing rental. So that, and then you cite through breakthrough capacity. So this is like their product advantage. So it lets you save money and reduce your carbon footprint. Unlike the competitors who have one driver per car, are wasting valuable space that they could have other people in there. So it's a way to push more people to carpool and be better on the environment. And overall, above all, what we can do for you is, and then you say the emotional benefit. So we make you feel like you've made a smart, responsible choice to demonstrate your commitment to protecting the environment. So your who, your product that does something cool, unlike our competitors. Above all, what we can do for you is, and then that's how you make them feel. This is also an example in Canvas, so you guys can put your own brands in here, put other brands in here, and play around with it and see what it looks like. But very, very simple, fill in the blank, see what it's going to look like as a whole positioning statement.
Are people utilizing Canvas a lot? Have you been able to see any of the boards and stuff like that, discussion boards?
Yeah, some people have been answering in the discussion board chat.
Very cool.
Yeah, not a ton of people. Would love to see more in there. But it is a resource that's available throughout the program. and it's a click through. You can click through it at any point and get access to everything. There's videos, there's templates, there's all sorts of resources. Really, these slides and these presentations really just touch on the surface of everything that's available in there. So definitely take advantage if you haven't already. So let's talk about marketing. So this is called the marketing mix because it can be changed and it can be mixed around, and you should think of it as a recipe. So the 5 Ps, the product. So, what do you make or provide? The place, where are you selling it? Is it just going to be a storefront? Is it at markets? Is it online? Are you selling it directly through Facebook? I mean, what are the different ways people are getting it? Price. So think about what someone is willing to pay. And we talked a little bit about this on our 4th class, but keep in mind, price is not how much it costs you, but it's how much someone is willing to pay. And those are very different numbers. So if it costs me $10 to make it, I shouldn't be like, well, I can make $2 on it and I'm going to sell it for 12. Like when the customer may see the value and maybe they'll purchase it for $24. So, think about that value you've created, and understanding that number that they are willing to spend to pay for your product. Your promotion, so how someone hears about it, and then the people, who is your customer going to interact with. So, don't just think about this person who's at the register, but on your website, are you going to have a little chat bot that pops up that greets people? And then it automatically forwards all emails to you. Are you going to have your face right there with your email? Are they going to be really easily able to reach you? Think about your promotional strategies. So your advertising, your publicity, events, think about the content. All of these things can change and they can get mixed around as your marketing mix. And the right mix of strategies depends on how your audience gets information and the time and the money that it takes to implement a strategy effectively. So feel free to tweak all of these things to find the right marketing strategy that works for you. And keep in mind that this may change if you've moved locations. This may change if you have different types of products. It's meant to be very flexible. It's meant to be dynamic towards your customers, the product, how people engage. Whatever your competitors are doing, maybe that has set a standard in the market, and maybe you should think about like, okay, that's how people expect to do business in this way. Like I always am going to buy this thing on Facebook Marketplace versus I never would buy that in a store. So think about the different ways that people interact with existing products and all of the different components of your marketing.
I think that's important as well when thinking about price, what someone will pay. Oftentimes it's hard to kind of quantify or really see the overall value someone might see in our products. We often tend to undersell what we're doing because we want to be friendly, or we want to, be seen as, not pushing the envelope too much. So also, like what are some of the other things that person might need to consider when thinking about a price of a product, like time, material costs, stuff like that?
Yeah. So there's your cost of goods sold, which includes the actual materials to purchase, but it also should include and build in any of the distribution and the channels to get to people, your time that has been spent to build it. Maybe you had to hire someone to build it. So everything that has been an expense to you to go from this idea and this concept or just raw materials into a final product, that's cost of goods sold. So that's how much it cost you to make it. Right. And so say we have that number, and, I think if we have a product, we could probably sit down with a calculator. We could figure out a lot of that stuff, but at least rough estimates. So if we said that my cost of goods sold was $10 per item, but we can look online and we could see that people are buying them for $30. You could say, all right, well, I'm going to charge $25. I know people are willing to spend $30, but mine is a good product and I'm going to be competitive. So you might say, okay, I'm $25. And so that's like a $15 profit right there. And that may go and pay for other things. And so you can pay for more. And the idea of being friendly and the idea of being flexible and not really sure how much to charge, you can also build in discounts. So that's something that's really cool. So it's cost me $10 to make it. So I can never sell it less than $10 unless I want to lose money. I know people are willing to pay up to $30 for it. So what I could do is I could mark it and I could say my product is $30, but today only it's on sale for 25% off, you know? And so you built it into your pricing strategy, your whole financial model, that you're going to go 25% off like 8 months out of the year. Like you're really always going to be that price. But the idea of being able to mark it down gives you this wiggle room to charge more if you need to. And you see them do this with things like Black Friday and those companies that are always doing big sales. Like I see a lot of clothing boutiques, they are always doing 25% off sales, Memorial Day sales, those kinds of things. They built that in to their pricing strategy, and people are not buying things at full price. And if they are, that's a win, that's a plus for them. But they're expecting almost all of their sales to come in with this 25% off. So think about that too. If you feel, I don't know, uncomfortable charging a certain price and you want to be able to give discounts and stuff out and you want to be able to have sales, factor that in as a second price that you should be considering in your whole financial model. So some different marketing channel categories to consider. So of course there's digital and all the different ways that we can interact with people online, website, email, social media, those sorts of things. But there's also print, so you've got your business cards, you've got your flyers, you've got direct mail, sending people out, brochures. Then there's traditional channels, so you can get billboards, broadcasts, signage, publications. And then one of my favorites is events, because you can go and you can network and you can meet people and you can give things out. You could go to trade shows. I think trade shows are very effective. It depends on your industry, it depends on your product, but I think they can be very effective. And then in-store events. So like I mentioned, Reno Running Company, they do this Saturday morning run, but they also like host and sponsor most of the runs that they have in Northern Nevada. And so that's a huge marketing thing that pushes more people back to their store. So thinking about these different marketing channels when you're engaging and creating your business. So getting some advice on marketing channels. So talk to somebody who has a business in the same industry, who's been doing this for a little bit, and see what they recommend. I mean, maybe there's a trade show you absolutely should go to. You need to go. Maybe talk to somebody who's in the marketing industry and see if they'll give you some advice on channels and what is the best way to get a mailing list, for example. How do you build up an email list? And then find online articles and resources. So, you can Google a lot of stuff too, but I think the best is really talking to people who are knowledgeable in this space and in this area. So also I want you to think about the customer journey. When you think about the customer journey, it's how do they come into contact with you, with the thing that you're selling? Are they physically bumping into you at an event? Are they Googling something very specific that they need help with? Are they driving by and they see a big sign, right? So what is this journey? So think about what is the problem? So what is the unmet need or desire? So if I'm going off to buy something, I have a problem I'm trying to solve. There's this thing, I need to address it. That's my problem. And then awareness. Okay, so I've been living with this problem. I need to solve it. I don't know how big of a problem it might be, but I'm openly looking for solutions. Maybe I'm seeing some Instagram, Facebook ads on it. And so I am going to go out and I'm going to look for it passively or actively. Consideration. So they start to research what you offer versus the competitors. And so making sure that you have that very clearly outlined somewhere. Making that purchase. So then they've decided they want to go with you. And then advocacy. So I think a lot of people stop at the sale and they're like, great, had a great purchase. But we talked about this in the business model presentation, but having that relationship and having those relationship tools, encouraging them to share their good experience, surveys, social media, different things, that's what keeps them coming back. I talked about how Starbucks has this way that they build relationships with people. And they do that with their app, right? So I collect a certain number of stars on my app, and that means I get a free drink. I get a free drink on my birthday. That keeps me coming back, so I'll come back next year for my birthday. But it's a thing that keeps me having a relationship with you. You go and you purchase something at the grocery store and they encourage you to fill out a survey and maybe you get some coupon. That coupon makes you come back too. These are all relationship tools. But they also help us communicate the positives and, write reviews on my websites. And that's what gives me credibility to new customers who are looking for a new product. They're like, oh, well, that person really liked it. And they're in a similar space to me. They're trying to solve a similar problem and they really liked it. I probably would like it too. So keep in mind this whole journey. And keep in mind that at every point, these customers are asking the question of why it makes sense to do business with you. So make sure that you're choosing channels where the potential customers are more likely to get information that will help you connect with them at the right time and the right place. So fully understand who they are, the whole journey that they're going through, and how you can insert yourself into that. So some digital marketing, just keep in mind that there's a lot of really great resources out there. Again, I mentioned you could go and buy a domain. Think about getting up a website. Think about what your message is on the website. If people submit a contact us form, how fast are they going to hear back from you? Other digital marketing, how do you collect responses? How do you collect feedback and interest? Just make sure that you're using all of the tools available to you. As far as brand design and brand identity goes, it's just important to consider your relevance, your consistency, and your professionalism. So does the design communicate the essence of the brand? Is it consistent with all of the other brand elements, everything else that I've put out there? Is it professional? Does it meet the expectations of the target audience and how they view good branding? Professionalism, isn't just, of course, about being nice, but it's about how quickly is that response time? How fast, if I am unhappy with my order, how fast are they going to address it? And what does that solution look like? So all of these things are a part of the brand design, the consistency, the style, the communication, who I am, my personality wrapped up as a business. Keep that in mind as your brand identity. So getting your customers' attention, it can be very difficult to get your customers' attention, to get it out into the world, to get, consistent eyes on it. And so there's this thing called the rule of 7 that says that a prospect needs to hear or see your message 7 times before they take action to buy. And that's okay. That's something to know. And so maybe I have ads on Facebook. Maybe word of mouth, I tell people, maybe I'm at every single event. And if I run into you 7 times and I find that I really like you, I like your brand, I like what you're doing as part of your things that are not product, right, that are doing in the community. And I see that 7 times, I may be more inclined to purchase your product. So keep that in mind. How can you touch people? And it's okay if they don't immediately convert into a sale. If they see you and they see you and they see you, they're more likely to purchase it, at least after they've seen you after like 7 times. And then make sure that you're telling a story. So make it simple, make it memorable, make it inviting, and make it fun to read. Very simple. People have got very short attention spans, especially these days. So just short, sweet, to the point. Who are you? Okay, I've seen you 7 times. I like you. Let's do business. So you want to make sure that you're capturing their attention and you're turning that attention into sales. So this is a distribution analysis. This is a fantastic exercise in Canvas. And I want to take some time to go through each of these questions. So your distribution and your sales, this is, we've talked about your brand and your identity. This is who I am on the landscape. This is how people hear about me. This is what it looks like. This is what I'm doing. Now, how do I get this into the hands of customers, and what does that distribution and sales process look like? And so these are the questions to ask yourself when you're doing the distribution analysis. And we'll go through them now, but keep in mind that like this is an after class activity. Really take the time to explore these questions. It's very important. So first, where and how does the target market shop for similar products and services? So again, we're trying to understand more about our target market, and we're trying to understand the problem that they're solving. So how are they currently interacting with a competitor's product? That will tell you what they're willing to do. They're willing to drive to a location. They're only willing to look on Facebook Marketplace. They're only willing to do something. So how does your target market currently interact with similar products and services? What distribution channels do top competitors use? Think about this as an example. Think about this as inspiration. Top competitors are probably going to have more money and resources than you, but this is where we look to start for inspiration for ideas. So what distribution channels do they use? What new distribution channels are being used in the industry? And so this is where you can differentiate from those top competitors. You can differentiate yourself, and you can make yourself stand out against competitors. So maybe you're looking at a whole new distribution method, like drop shipping, for example, that other people aren't using, that would set you apart. So what are other distribution channels that are being used successfully in other industries that may also have an impact? So these may be other completely unrelated to you, but maybe you can apply them to your product and your unique situation and your unique community that you're in. Think about the typical barriers or challenges for entering new distribution channels. What are people anticipating to be challenges? How effective is the current selling method in meeting your future goals? And what distribution channel strategies might be used to accomplish these goals? Right, so what are we trying to accomplish? What are some strategies? What are some challenges? And thinking about existing ways the competitors are using it, people in other industries are using it. Try to build and paint an entire picture of what this looks like to get it into the hands of your customers. And so go in and answer these questions. And if you can't answer these for your business now, then do the success exercise with the business that you do know. Just make an example, just to see what it looks like to fill out a whole distribution analysis. Any questions on this before I move on? Okay. Again, this is in Canvas. There's a whole module activity in there. Highly recommend downloading it and playing around with it. And again, if you're not ready or you don't feel ready to apply it to your business, just try it with a different business and get comfortable with painting that picture.
Yeah, I like that as well, because sometimes a lot of the information you're providing there may not see the connectivity to it. But it's messing around with the modules and the information that we currently do have, or we understand our business to be. So some of these concepts and some of the bullet points will more hopefully connect with your concept and your ideas of your business, guys. So at the same time, be super open-minded to how she's presenting it and what she's saying, and kind of maybe change it. I often have to mess with words in my mind to really be like, here's what I think it's understanding. Develop that concept and then come back with questions, be like, hey, this is what I thought I heard you say with regards to this, and ask for points of clarification down the road as well if things aren't quite clicking right now. So I do want to throw that out there as well.
Thank you, Thurman. Yeah, and I know that we are going kind of A to Z in this program for everything, and there are people here who may just have ideas and concepts, and this is like, oh, well, I'll explore this in 6 months or so. But take advantage of the activities and the exercises to just get in the brain space of what does it look like to think of a whole distribution strategy, even if it's not currently your plan, just to get comfortable with it, just to have that knowledge, and to then come in 6 months and be like, oh, I did this exercise. I did it for Starbucks. I'm going to apply it to myself now. And I know exactly what to do. Or even more fun is if you just fill this out as like an idea or a concept as just a brainstorm activity. And then you come back to it in 6 months and you're like, oh yeah, okay. I've gone into a different direction. This is where I've landed now. And you can use it as a timestamp to figure out where you should go. So again, in order to mold these things, we need to first put it down on paper and then shape it from there. So these exercises are really great at helping us do that. Here are some common distribution channels. So typical ones in retail. So you've got mass merchandisers, discount outlets, department stores, specialty shops, that sort of thing. So retail stores. Packaged goods, like foods and things, grocery stores, more mass merchandisers, specialty stores, convenience stores, independent reps, and of course the internet. Business to business. I think business to business is really, really great if you have something you can sell in bulk. And you don't want to have to deal with the consumer facing side and have a whole website for yourself. You can have just a conversation, a relationship with these existing businesses to sell your product, which is a really great way to scale your business. So think about a direct sales approach, directly selling your business to business, selling directly to wholesalers, distributors, internet. A great friend of mine is a farmer, and she does two things. She goes to farmers markets and she sells her product. But she finds that if she goes through wholesale distributors, she can make so much more money and it can go a lot farther as far as her produce goes. So, but she takes advantage of both because she has different types of produce that she needs to sell. Like wholesalers might have certain requirements, like they won't accept odd shaped foods or things that have maybe been scarred by machinery or something, but people at the farmers market don't care. So those are two different types of market distribution channels, and you can take advantage of both, and you don't have to just pick one. So keep that in mind. And then your service. So company owned offices, franchises, dealerships, TV programs, and internet. So these are all different ways that you can distribute your product and get into the hands of your customers. Always be selling. Also known as always be closing, ABC. So 4-stage selling process. You identify and select your target. So who are my leads? You engage the prospect. You begin to have a conversation. You want to understand their needs and their problems. Why did they come to you in the first place? Why are they in your target market? Making the match. So, it's not just about this monologue of I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to pitch it to you, but we're going to have a discussion about your needs and what you're looking for. And we're going to make sure that you're a match for this product. And then doing the deal is where the money comes out and it's actually a deal that's made. So this is the 4 stages, the 4 steps of the selling process. And, of course, parts of this take a lot longer than others. But keeping this in mind that this is what it takes to get a sale done. And that's it for today. And so if you didn't check in at the beginning, please scan this QR code and check in here. And then if you haven't joined our Slack community and want to check that out, that QR code is also up. And I'm happy to take any questions. I will look for the link right now. I don't have Maggie with me today, so she usually helps me find a link, but I will grab it. Maggie's on a plane. She's going to Boston. She's going to visit a friend. Otherwise, she would be here. But let's see. I will find this for you guys. Just helpify. All right, give me a second. How do you guys feel about the QR code? You like it or no? Rather do the link?
I did have a question on Canva. I submitted some assignments, but I noticed they're not there. I was replying directly to the assignment, but then when I was on there the other day, I noticed that there's like an actual official place to submit my assignments. So I just want to make sure if I'm doing it, if you guys have any assignments or not, because I went in there yesterday or the other day and I couldn't find I submitted last week.
I will go and see what's going on.
Because
Make sure
someone
that
replied to it, so it's there somewhere. But
did well, if someone's replying, they're probably replying in the discussion boards. Have you checked out the discussion boards?
I did, but I can't find it. Cause I get notifications on my phone saying so and so replied to my post or what have you on my phone, but then when I go into Canva, I can't find it. But
Okay.
it could be a technical difficulty on my end.
Canvas has kind of got some funky bugs. It might be a log out, log back in sort of thing, but I will look into this for you and I will get back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure there's nothing funky going on. So, yeah, please fill out the form to sign in, and I'm happy to hang around and answer any questions. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the day. Thank you guys.
You too.